Spotify is the world's most popular music streaming app with around a 33% share of the total market. Management, with their founder led CEO Daniel Ek at the helm, has announced ambitious plans to more than double the number of monthly active users to 1 billion by 2030. This would essentially double the business, and there's more to it than that because they also have plans to further monetize their average revenue per user. We're going to get into all that. So while Spotify is the world's most popular music streaming app with around 33% market share, and it has these big rivals, obviously we have Apple Music, which has around a 17% market share, Amazon Music with around a 14% share, and even YouTube with YouTube Music sitting around 10%. But despite all of this heavy competition, the company has still managed to grow its monthly active users substantially year over year. Management has even announced more ambitious plans to double its monthly active users as well as 4 times the average revenue per user by 2030. So if they were able to do both of these things, the runway for growth with this company is huge. Spotify's stock price has obviously been decimated from a combination of factors with the crash this year, high inflation. So Spotify's stock, a Kathy Wood favorite, reached a high of around $364, and it's now down almost 70% from that high of February 2021. Sitting at $116, and year to date, it's down 52%. So the Spotify platform clearly has some advantages built into it. And why do they have these advantages? They've built a superior platform to the competitors, even Apple Music. And a lot of this probably comes down to Spotify solely focusing on being a music streaming app, whereas obviously Apple has a lot of other business avenues. This isn't a primary concern for them. So again, one of the bare arguments could be increasing competition. Obviously, these other companies do have a lot deeper pockets, but thus far, Spotify has been able to outdo everyone else. And it's a very sticky platform with great user retention and a very low churn rate. So churn is the percentage of the users who would cancel their subscriptions. Obviously, the lower you have your churn rate, the better. So in Spotify, in their developing markets, the churn rate is only 6.5%, and developed markets churn is only 2.4%. And they've both been declining. And I think there's multiple reasons for this. Spotify just has a superior music streaming platform. They've got a lot of machine learning and AI that they've put into it to give you playlist tailored to what you like, and this definitely gives them an edge over the competitors. And there's a lot more to it though than that, because they are starting to become your one-stop audio shop, and Spotify has pretty lofty ambitions that we're going to get into even beyond music streaming. Obviously, we know that they have invested heavily into podcasts, but that's just the start. They're also investing heavily into audiobook companies they're acquiring, and also tools to help the creator economy, which they see growing, and that Spotify could be a great hub to attract 50 million creators to their platform. So just from my own personal experience and many people that I've talked to who love music, I asked them, what do you use? Spotify. Have you ever tried the other platforms? Yeah, but I didn't like them as much. I always ended up going back to Spotify. This usually is how the conversation goes. People try Apple Music because they get a 3-month free trial, but then they always go back to Spotify because it's better. These other platforms lack these personally curated playlists or playlists you yourself may have created, as well as the machine learning playlist that Spotify provides to you to give you what you want without even knowing that you wanted it. So while music streaming itself is not really a great business to be in because the record companies end up taking a huge chunk, majority of the profits, but Spotify, as I said, is moving away from just music. They've invested heavily into podcasts. They're acquiring audiobook and AI companies left and right. They're investing heavily into the creator economy, and they're really building the one-stop shop for all your audio needs, it would seem. An interesting recent acquisition they made was they acquired an AI voice platform, which was actually used to recreate the voice of Val Kilmer, who played Iceman in the new Top Gun Maverick movie. So there's some fascinating stuff going on here. So let's take a look. So Spotify just reported Q2 earnings, and they had another great quarter where their total monthly active users increased pretty significantly. They're up to 433 million. That's a 19% growth rate year over year, and they added 11 million new subs quarter over quarter. So this is great to see an environment where we're seeing the traditional players in other types of streaming industries, take Netflix for example, that are really really struggling, but Spotify here seems to be immune to the inflation, at least to the extent that they're able to still keep growing and, launching these initiatives, things that they're trying to do. And the fact that, they continue to grow these subscribers quarter over quarter shows that either this business is more resilient than Netflix. Netflix, arguably, there's a lot more competition in the video streaming industry at this point than music streaming, but there's clearly still a lot of room to grow here in the music streaming industry. So Spotify makes the bulk of their revenue from their premium subscribers, of which they have 188 million, and then they have 256 million ad-supported monthly active users, all of which are increasing pretty significantly, double digits. So again, they're accelerating expansion into audiobooks with the closing of the Findaway acquisition on June 15th and pioneering the creation of new user experiences with the announced acquisition of Sonantic. So Findaway I'll talk a little bit more about later, but there's a lot of interesting acquisitions that they've been making over the past year. And again, so while this premium segment is their most lucrative segment, it's where they make the bulk of their money. And you can see on this chart here, it's just consistently increasing. As you can see, just going back for the last few years, the premium revenue continues to increase quarter over quarter. And the average revenue per user has kind of declined a little, stayed flat. It looks like it's starting to come up a little bit, but this is something else we're going to talk about because they have lofty goals that they want to 4x the average revenue per user, or ARPU, by 2030. So again, if we just think about doubling their subscribers by 2030 and then 4xing the amount of revenue they're making off those subscribers, there's a very large runway for growth here with this company. This was the 9th quarter in a row that they were able to generate positive free cash flow. This is a company with great global exposure, and while Europe and North America have probably passed their peak of growth, the rest of the world still seems like a great avenue for Spotify to keep growing in, as it's doubled just from 2018. Spotify's subscribers went from 11% to 24%. So that's everywhere excluding Latin America, North America, and Europe. So it only took 4 years to double. So Spotify at the end of Q2 had 4.4 million podcasts on platform. The number of monthly active users that engaged with podcasts grew in the substantial double digits year over year. They released 100 new original and exclusive podcasts globally in Q2. So this is definitely a key growth driver for Spotify. And they've gotten some criticism. Obviously, they paid Joe Rogan that $100 million deal, and how sustainable are these things really? But it seems to be working. And again, when they're building upon this, when we look here at their acquisitions, they added Findaway, which works across the entire audiobook ecosystem with a platform and offerings that serve authors, publishers, and consumers. So driving more audiobook content to Spotify. This will help Spotify accelerate its entrance into the audiobooks market. They also announced the acquisition of Sonantic, a dynamic AI voice platform that creates voice from text, which will allow them to provide new, unique experiences for our users and engage users in new and more personalized ways. They've got Spotify Live, which sounds kind of like Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse, if you're familiar with that. So Spotify's just doing a little bit of everything. They're making the audio powerhouse. So these 3 charts, I think, sum it up perfectly. You've got a very healthy, growing company here. Monthly active users every quarter continues to increase. You've got a nice mix of ad-supported and premium subscribers. Although it is interesting, a lot of the revenue does come from premium revenue, the vast majority. As you can see, ad-supported revenue makes up a very small portion compared to the overall revenue, majority of that coming from the premium revenue. So that could be a cause for concern, if this industry does end up kind of like what we see happening with Netflix, where maybe people switch away from paying when if the other services do start to offer more of a ad-supported experience. But then again, Spotify is already better off than Netflix because they already have the ad-supported tier and they've had it for a long time. I think another great chart, even though this is only from the end of 2021, it just kind of goes to show you that Spotify just continues to increase its subscribers every year despite the entrance of all these competitors. Apple Music's been around since 2015, Prime Music 2016, YouTube Music 2018. And yet they're not growing as quickly as Spotify. And Spotify continues to grow even with the competition here from these ginormous technology companies. And just to go back a little, in Spotify's Q4 of 21 results, they announced that they had acquired Findaway and Whooshkaa. So obviously we talked, Findaway is a global leader in digital audiobook distribution and a leading audiobook platform. So now Spotify, music streaming, podcasts, audiobooks. They also got Whooshka, which is an all-in-one platform to host, manage, distribute, promote, commercialize, and measure your podcast. It offers specialized tools for radio broadcasters to turn their existing audio content into an on-demand podcast content. And here's what I also really like about Spotify is that they have a big focus on the creator economy. They see where we're heading here, right? So they entered into the podcast space in around 2019 with the intent to help modernize and grow the space for all types of creators. So they have a big focus on the creator economy, and they had kind of said in previous calls that the biggest opportunity in regard to that is the rapid professionalization of creators and kind of helping them get there, which again, these acquisitions seem to be helping creators do. So that could be an appeal to draw them to Spotify's platform versus other creator platforms. You also throw in the thing Spotify does better than everyone else. They have their rap campaign that was the #1 worldwide trending topic on both Twitter and TikTok. It's a huge cultural phenomenon. So they're always doing these types of promotions that help to add new users, keep current users engaged. And they've also said in the past, Daniel Ek, the CEO, has stated they think the Spotify ecosystem alone will end up encompassing more than 50 million active creators, which would be a significant increase from where they finished 2021 with around 11 million creators. And they're viewing this as 50 million small and medium-sized businesses that they can support by giving them the infrastructure and resources to grow. So a lot of this makes me think of, Facebook, Amazon, what they've done to help small businesses, but obviously in a different way. If you're a creator, you're basically running a business. And if Spotify is going to give you the tools to help you, look at how well that worked out with companies like Facebook, with Amazon. So again, I mentioned Whooshka. They also acquired Anchor last year. And those are both podcast platforms that are loaded with useful tools for creators. So you tie those things together, you throw in music streaming and audiobooks, and it seems like you've got an audio content powerhouse in the making here that will not only provide you a vast library of entertainment, but also help the creator economy, give the people the tools they need to succeed. So management also has a goal to increase the lifetime value of their customers. They're targeting a 4x increase in average revenue per user by 2030. You tie that in with the goal to double the number of subscribers by 2030. You've got a huge runway for growth if they can continue to execute, which they have thus far have been able to. Obviously, risks are increased competition, but it does reassure me seeing how well Spotify has been able to navigate so far in 2022 in a tough year when you've got other subscriber-based platforms like Netflix getting killed, losing millions of subscribers. Spotify is still managing to gain a significant amount, double-digit percentage gains. And Spotify's got a sticky platform with a low churn rate. They're constantly adding new features, which should only help bolster those strengths. They've got a huge runway for growth here. So let me know what you guys think of Spotify. Would you purchase Spotify stock? Why or why not? If you stream music, do you use Spotify or one of the other streamers we mentioned here? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And this is Vinny from the Investment Club, and I'll see you next time.